If you have ever opened ClickUp, stared at the dashboard, and then closed the tab because you had no idea where to start, that is exactly what this video fixes. By the end of this tutorial, you will have a real working system inside ClickUp, a structured workspace with organized projects, tasks that actually move through a workflow, and your first automation running in the background doing work for you. Now, I know how overwhelming it can get when you're staring at a blank workspace with no idea what goes where. I'm going to walk you through every step from scratch and flag the things that trip most beginners up before you even hit them. Everything in this video is based on ClickUp 4.0, the latest version. So if older tutorials look different from what you are seeing on your screen, that is why. Now, first things first, if you haven't yet already, click the link in the description to sign up for ClickUp's free forever plan and follow along. It takes 2 minutes and you will not need a credit card. All right, let's get right in. Creating your workspace and first look at the 4.0 interface. Click the link in the description and it will take you to this page. Here, you have to click Get Started Free. Now, before you sign up, let me quickly walk you through the plans so you know where you stand. ClickUp has 4 tiers: free forever, unlimited at $7 per user per month, business at $12 per user per month, and enterprise, which is custom pricing. For this entire tutorial, we're staying on the free forever plan, which includes unlimited tasks and unlimited members. The main limitations you will hit are storage and automation caps. But for getting started, you will not run into either of those today. Fill in your name, email, and a password, and you're in. When it asks you to name your workspace, give it the name of your business, your team, or even just your own name if you're just using this for personal projects. I'm going to call mine Krishel Talabis Workspace. You might see an onboarding wizard pop up. Go ahead and skip that for now. It is easier to learn when we build things ourselves from scratch. And here we are. This is ClickUp 4.0. The first thing you will notice is this vertical bar running down the left side of the screen. That is the new global navigation bar. It gives you one-click access to your home feed, your inbox, your docs, and your spaces from anywhere in the app. And over here is the dynamic sidebar. This is where your workspace hierarchy lives. We're going to be spending a lot of time in here. The whole interface is faster and cleaner than older versions. ClickUp said load times improved by about 40% with this update. And honestly, you can feel it. Understanding the hierarchy. Before we create anything, it's important to take a few minutes to explain something that most ClickUp tutorials skip, and it is the #1 reason people set ClickUp wrong and end up with a mess. ClickUp runs on a system called a hierarchy. Everything you build inside ClickUp lives inside this hierarchy. If you understand it before you start clicking, the whole setup process makes sense. If you skip this part, your setup will get messy fast. So here's how it works. At the very top, you have your workspace. Think of this as your entire company or personal operation. Everything lives inside it. You only ever need one workspace. The only reason to create a second one is if you're running a completely separate business. Inside your workspace, you have spaces. Spaces represent departments, teams, or major areas of your work. For example, marketing, operations, client projects. Each space has its own settings and can be shared with different people. Inside a space, you can have folders. Folders are optional, but they're great for grouping related projects together. Inside your marketing space, for example, you might have a folder for each campaign or each client. Inside folders, you have lists. A list is a collection of tasks that belong to the same project or goal. This is where most of your actual work gets organized. And inside lists, you have tasks. Tasks are your to-do items. Each task can have subtasks, deadlines, assignees, attachments, comments, the works. The analogy I find most helpful: imagine you're packing a suitcase for a trip. Your workspace is the suitcase. It holds everything. Your spaces are packing cubes. Folders are the bags inside each cube. Lists are the small cases inside those bags. And tasks are the individual items you packed. Everything has a place. That is the whole point of the hierarchy. Setting up your first space. Now, let's build something. We're going to create our first space. In the left sidebar, look for the plus icon next to spaces and click it. A setup panel will appear. Give your space a name. I'm going to go with marketing, but use whatever makes sense for your work. Operations, client projects, personal tasks, anything that represents a real area of your work. You can see there's a privacy setting here. Right now it is set to public, meaning everyone in your workspace can see it. That is fine for this tutorial. If you're working solo, leave it as is. Next, you will see the status settings. This is where you define the stages a task can move through inside the space. The defaults are fine to start with, but I like to keep it clean with 4 statuses: to do, in progress, review, and done. Delete anything extra and create those 4. Now, here's something important. You will see a panel called ClickApps. These are optional features you can turn on for the space. Things like time tracking, sprints, custom fields, and more. Now, it is tempting to turn everything on, but do not. Start with only what you actually need right now. I'm turning on priorities and custom fields and leaving the rest off. You can always come back and add more later. Hit Create Space. And there it is in the sidebar. That is your first space. Adding folders and lists. Now that we have a space, let's build out the structure inside it. Hover over your space name in the sidebar and click the little plus icon that appears. Select Folder. Name it something that represents a real project or client. I'm going to call mine Q3 Campaign. Click Create. ClickUp automatically creates a list inside every new folder. You can see it right here. Go ahead and rename it to something useful. I'm calling mine Content Calendar. Let's add one more list inside this folder. Hover over the folder name. Click the plus icon and select Lists. I will name this one Add Copy. Now you have a folder with 2 lists inside it, 2 different work streams for the same project, all in one place. You can also create a list directly inside a space without putting it in a folder at all. This is great for miscellaneous tasks that do not belong to a specific project. Hover over the space name, click plus, and add a list. I'm calling this one Quick Tasks. Now, one thing to watch out for. Do not go overboard creating folders and lists. More structure is not always better. If you find yourself spending 5 minutes trying to figure out where to put a task, your structure is too complex. Keep it simple and add layers only when you actually need them. Now, also worth mentioning, ClickUp 4.0 introduced something called subfolders, which adds a 4th level inside the hierarchy. I'm not going to cover that today because you genuinely do not need it when you're starting out. Master the basics first, and if your workspace grows to be the point where you need subfolders, you will know it. Creating and managing tasks. Now we get to the part where the actual work lives, tasks. Click on the content calendar list we just created. You will land inside the list view. To add your first task, click Add Task, type in a task name. I'm going to use Write Blog Post for launch week. Click on the task name to open it. This is your task detail panel, and there's a log you can do in here. You can write a description. This is great for notes, context, or instructions. Just above that, you have the assignee field. Click it and assign the task to yourself. Next, set a due date. Click the due date field and pick a date from the calendar. Now, set the priority. You have 4 options: urgent, high, normal, and low. I'm going with high on this one. Now, you can also add subtasks. Click Add Subtask and break the bigger task into smaller pieces. I'm going to add Write First Draft and Send for Review. Each subtask has its own due date, assignee, and status. You can also add a checklist, perfect for tasks that have a defined sequence of steps. I'm adding 3 checklist items: research keywords, add internal links, and proofread. At the bottom right of the task, there is a comment section. This is where you and your team can communicate without leaving this task. No more searching through emails or Slack messages to find context on a project. It is all right here. Now, close the task and look at it in the list view. You can see the status badge on the left. Click it and change it from to do to in progress. This is how you move your work forward. Now, one last thing. You can customize which fields show up in the task view. Click the settings or customize option and toggle off anything you do not need. ClickUp lets you tailor the layout so you only see what is relevant to you. Switching views, list, board, calendar. One of the best things about ClickUp is that you're not locked into one way of looking at your work. The same list of tasks can be displayed in completely different ways depending on what you need. Right now, we're in list view, your standard to-do list format. tasks stacked on top of each other with all their details in a row. Let's switch to board view. You will notice ClickUp already has list and board view ready to go at the top. You do not need to create them. Click board and your tasks are now displayed as cards and columns, organized by status. This is a Kanban board. You can drag a task card from one column to another to update its status. Watch this. I'm going to drag this task from in progress over to review. And just like that, the status updates. Now let's look at calendar view. Click add view again and choose calendar. Here your tasks are plotted on a calendar based on their due dates. This is really useful for spotting when things are getting piled up or when you have a light week. There are other views available too. Gantt for project timelines, table for a spreadsheet style layout, mind map for visual brainstorming. But I want to make sure that you are not overwhelmed on day one. Start with list and board. Those two will cover 90% of what you need. The key thing to understand is that none of these views are separate systems. All these views are showing you the same tasks, just in a different format. Home screen and sidebar navigation. In the left navigation bar, click the home icon. This is your home feed. You will see a panel called My Tasks, which shows all the tasks assigned to you across every space. This becomes incredibly useful once you have a lot going on, because instead of clicking through every list to find your tasks, you just check home and everything is right there. You can also see recent activity and any reminders you have set. Now, back in the sidebar. As you build out more spaces and lists, your sidebar can start to feel busy. A good habit is to pin the locations you access every day to your favorites. Right-click on your space name and select the option to add it to favorites. Now it shows up at the very top of the sidebar, so you are never hunting for it. The inbox icon in the navigation bar is where all your notifications live. When someone assigns you a task, comments on something you're following, or updates a due date, it shows up here. Once you're working with a team, this becomes your command center for staying on top of what needs your attention. And this little icon here collapses the sidebar if you want more screen real estate while you're working. Click it again to bring it back. Your first automation. Now let's set up your first automation. Automations are one of ClickUp's most powerful features, and you do not need to be technical to use them. The idea is simple. When something happens, ClickUp does something else automatically. No manual work needed. Hover over your space name in the sidebar and click the three-dot menu. Select Automations. Then click Add Automation. You will see a trigger on the left and an action on the right. For the trigger, select Status Changes. Set the Form field to any status and the To field to Done Review. Then on the action side, change status to add a comment and type, "This task is ready for review. Please check and approve before the deadline." Name the rule Notify Team when task is ready for review and hit Create. Now go to your task and move it to review. The comment drops automatically. No one had to type it. No one had to remember. And that is exactly what a good automation does. It removes a step that would otherwise fall through the cracks. The free plan allows 5 active automations at a time and 100 automation actions per month. For getting started, that is enough. Pick one repetitive thing in your workflow and automate that first. Docs and chat. Now, let's talk about the 2 features that come built into ClickUp that a lot of beginners do not notice right away. First, Docs. Click the Docs icon in the navigation bar. ClickUp has a full document editor built right in. Click New Doc and give it a title. I'm calling mine Campaign Brief. And you can type, format, and collaborate on documents just like you would in Google Docs. The thing that makes ClickUp Docs different is that you can link a doc directly to a task. So your campaign brief lives right next to the tasks that bring it to life. No more hunting through Google Docs trying to remember what the doc was called. Second, chat. Click the chat icon in the navigation bar. ClickUp 4.0 has a built-in chat tool that works similarly to Slack. You have channels, direct messages, and you can add mentioned tasks and teammates directly inside a message. Now, you don't have to use chat or docs if you already have tools you love for those things. But if you're just starting out or trying to cut down on the number of apps you use, both of these are worth exploring. The goal with ClickUp has always been to bring everything into one place, and these features are a big part of that. setting up goals. Now, let's talk about something that will actually keep you using ClickUp long term. Goals. Goals in ClickUp let you define what you're working toward and then link your actual tasks to that goal. So instead of just having a list of things to do, every task is connected to a bigger outcome. That is a game changer when you are trying to stay focused. To create a goal, look for the goals icon in the left navigation bar and click it. Set a goal. Give your goal a name. I'm going to use Launch Q3 Campaign Successfully. Next, assign it an owner. Choose who can view it. Then set a due date for when you want to hit this goal. Now, here's the part that makes goals powerful. Inside the goal, you can add targets. A target is a measurable milestone that tells ClickUp when the goal is making progress. Click Create Target, and the first thing it will ask you for is a target name. Go ahead and type something like Complete all Q3 content tasks. Then you will see a few tracking options. You can track by a number, a true or false completion, a currency amount, or by task completion. I'm going to select task completion as the target type, then link it to the content calendar list we created earlier. Now, every time a task in that list gets marked as done, ClickUp automatically updates the progress on your goal. You can see the progress bar filling up here as tasks get completed. That visual feedback alone is incredibly motivating when you're deep in a project and wondering if you're actually moving forward. Inviting teammates and setting permissions. The last thing we're going to cover is how to bring other people into your workspace. If you're using ClickUp with a team, this section is for you. Even if you're solo right now, it is worth knowing how this works for when you bring someone else in. In the bottom left corner of the screen, click Invite. A dialog box will appear where you can type in your teammate's email address. Type it in and hit Send Invite. Now, here is the important part. Before you send that invite, you want to think about what level of access that person needs. ClickUp has a few different roles. An admin can do almost everything you can do, including changing settings and deleting things. A member can create and edit tasks, but cannot touch workspace settings. A guest has very limited access and can only see what you specifically share with them. For most teammates, member is the right choice. For a client or an external contractor who only needs to see one specific project, go with guest. Once someone accepts your invite, you can also control their access at the space level. Right-click on any space in your sidebar, go to Sharing and Permissions, and you can add or remove people from that specific space. This means your marketing team only sees the marketing space and your operations team only sees operations. Nobody gets overwhelmed by work that has nothing to do with them. Now, one thing to keep in mind, the free plan allows unlimited members, which is genuinely rare for a free productivity tool. So if you are a small team, you can get everyone in without paying a cent. All right, so this is how you set up ClickUp. Now, if you want professional help implementing ClickUp into your workflow, then we offer a done with you service where we're going to work together to implement ClickUp and create the perfect workflow for you. The link for it is down in the description. Check it out and maybe we are a good fit for you. All right, thank you so much for watching. I hope this was helpful and check out more videos on my channel for ClickUp and Notion tutorials. See you soon.